So I'm going to continue running this demonstration live as I do it. Um, I had prepared a couple of slides here at the beginning. So we're going to be talking about actually doing your pages for your portfolio in InDesign. Um, it's going to be a two-color layout for the part that I'm going to be doing. I'm using the page background color, which is the hexadecimal code 66825B, which is that green, medium green color there. And I'm going to be using text accents and page numbers color FCCA03, which is that kind of a golden yellow. We're also going to be talking about main pages for this thing being 8.5 by 11 in the tall or portrait orientation. And additional pages will be tabloid or 11 by 17 in landscape. We're also going to be talking about A masters and B masters and C masters. And we'll get right to that here in just a second. I'm going to pause this and then we'll get started here in just a second. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start off with the page backgrounds. And I'll do that right here. I'm going to bring up InDesign, which I have a document open. This is the document that we're going to be referring to. This is the one that I showed you at the beginning in 8.1. We're going to be laying out a InDesign portfolio document just about like this, using the images that I have amassed to do this in. So let's do that. I'm going to go to File, New Document. And we're going to do a custom. We're going to change our picas to inches and set up 8.5 by 11, 8 pages, starting with page 1. And you'll notice that I have turned off the facing pages. That's because I want them to come up as single pages, not facing pages. Most people are going to be doing portfolios these days that aren't necessarily printed. They'll probably be digital, in which case not having facing pages is no big deal. So we're going to create it. And as you can see, we have 8 pages, and they're all marked with the A master up here. Now the thing you're going to have to pay attention to pretty closely are setting up your master page attributes. Applying a none to this page would mean that there's not going to be any attributes. An A master would be whatever attributes that you apply to the A master. So in this particular case, I'm going to go in and I'm going to open up the A master here, and if you'll notice at the bottom here, the marking here has changed to one master. So I'm now in the master pages, not in the pages themselves. I can go back to here, and you'll notice now I'm in the pages area. You can see that down here where it says 8 pages in 8 spreads. What I want to do is I want to go back to the main A page, and I'm going to bring something in here that I had placed in a file next door to this. I'm going to bring that, oops, sorry, wrong folder. Here we go. I'm going to bring this document in here, principally all of these resized images. I have a number of different things in here that I'm going to be using, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that here in a minute. But more specifically, I'm going to go back out of here, and the document that I'm going to bring in is this background page A version signature, which I had already used. I take that back. I'm going to use the bypass page, which is this Sid Mead page, and I'll show you that when I bring it in. So I'm going to move that off to the side, and I'm going to go to File and Place. Like in Illustrator, everything you want to do to bring things into the InDesign document will be done through Place. So we're going to go Place, and we're going to go back and find that document that I was just talking about. It's in the portfolio pages, and it is this Sid Mead page. And I'm going to open that, and you'll notice it'll kind of follow me around the screen until I click and apply it, and then I'm going to bring this up. Now this is a page which contains Sid Mead's logo in particular. You'll notice now that all the pages that are marked with an A in the pages will have that. So I'm in the master page right now. I'm going to go into the main pages here, You'll notice it now says 8 pages and 8 spreads. And if I go down the line, they all have the same thing on them. That's not necessarily what I want. What I want to do is I want to establish a B master page. So I'm going to go up back into the master pages folder, and I'm going to do a right click and do new master. This is going to mean I'm going to get a B master page, and I'm going to mark this one as a signature page. That's going to be the very first page after the page with the logo on it. I'm going to let that remain an 8.5 by 11 format and say OK. Now you'll notice that I have a new page up here that says signature page, and I'm going to open that page, which I've got here, and I'm going to put a new thing into that. So I'm going to go to File and Place, and for this one I'm going to use that the A version signature page. And it's going to follow me around the screen until I let it apply. And you'll notice it's got this signature with a long stripe across it that you saw me establish when I did the Photoshop version of that. That page, the B signature page, I'm going to put on page 2. You'll notice that it's changed in the page spread here. So if I go back into the pages spread by clicking on this first one, I've got my logo page for the first page, and I've got the signature page for the second page. So you can begin to see how that works somewhat. Okay, I'm probably going to need yet one more page for this, and at least at this point. And I'm going to go up here back into the masters pages, and I'm going to go right click and do new master. This one's going to be the C master. C master. I'm going to let it be 8.5 by 11. And I'm going to say OK. I've got another blank page that's come up. This time I'm going to go to File and Place again. And this time I want to do the page background C version no signature. And that's what that one's going to be. And you'll notice that one has just a straight mark across the top with no signature on the left-hand side. And so I'm going to bring that down and let that one apply to page 3. Okay, so now I've got an A, a B, and a C. If we go into the main pages, you'll notice again that I've got the signature page on the first page, the logo page on the first page, the signature page on page 2, and the straight line one of the C master on page 3. Okay, let's go back up and look at other things about the master pages that are important. First of all, I'm going to go back into the A master page, and I'm going to give this one a page number. And to do that, what you need to do is you need to use your type tool, which is right here. And you want to make sure that you're in the master's pages when you're doing this. So I'm going to go here and grab my type tool. I'm going to open up a type box here. I'm going to type in that window the letter A. And you can see it down there. It's kind of small. I can make that whatever size that I want to. I'm going to make it just for the sake of being able to see things pretty well. I'm not going to make it 24 point, which is kind of horsey, but that's okay. I also want to change the color of that letter. And I'm going to change that to the color that I spoke of earlier, which was that FCCA03, which is that gold color. And you'll notice that it's moved the thing around. You can see it's going to be that color now. I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to click off of that. Now you can see that it's down here directly in the middle of the page. I'm going to move it down just a little bit. Leave it right there, and that's about where I want it to be. Now the thing with it highlighted like this, I'm going to go back in and grab my type tool, make sure that I've got it selected like that, and then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go to Type, and I'm going to go to Insert Special Character, Markers, Current Page Number. Now what that's going to do is wherever I apply this master page, it's automatically going to keep track of that letter for me, and that it's going to renumber the page. So this will be numbered page 1. So now what I need to do is I need to grab that number or that letter. I'm going to do edit and I'm going to do copy. Now I'm going to go to the B page, click on it, and then I'm going to do edit, paste in place. And you'll notice when it comes in without me doing anything as the letter B. And that's because it already knows that I want that to be a marker that's going to help me establish the page numbers. So I'm going to go in there again and I'm going to grab that and I'm going to do edit copy. I'm going to go to the C master page now and I'm going to do edit and paste in place. Again, I'm going to edit, paste in place. There we go. And again, you'll notice that it now has the letter C because I'm in the C master page. Let's go back out to the main pages and take a look at this now. Okay, so we'll click on page 1 here and you'll notice it has a 1 there now instead of that A. I'll go to B, or I'll go down to B and I'll look, and lo and behold it has a 2 where the B was. And I'll go down to 3 and lo and behold it has a 3. Now if I take a C master page, which is the same one that's being applied to this one, and I apply that now to page 4, which is right here, I've changed that one to a C. I'm going to go down and take a look at page 4, and it's numbered at page 4. So you can see how setting up the page numbers becomes pretty easy. It's something that you do in the pages, master pages attributes, and then you can apply them to any of the pages in the document. So I'm going to pause this for just a moment. Now I've gone ahead and applied the CMaster attributes to all of the remaining pages. So as I go down the list here, you'll see that all of the pages follow suit 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now we have all of the pages numbered the way that we want them. The pages after the signature page just have the gold line at the top, which is fine. That's exactly what I want. Now we're going to probably go about creating some graphics to put onto this page. This is about the time that you want to go to the layers palette. If you hadn't set this up already, we're going to let the layer 1 become the page background. So I'm going to label that page background and say OK. And I'm going to lock that because I'm not going to work in that right now again. I'm going to put in some images. So I'm going to create another page here and I'm going to name that one Images. It's important that you keep things separated. I got 2 M's in images there. Images. There we go. That's better. It's better that you keep things separated like this so that when you're working in one layer you don't get confused with what's going on in another layer. So on the first page here with the Sid Mead logo, I'm going to go and find the portrait of Sid Mead that I had. And I'm going to go File, Place. This time I'm going to go into the resized images. You remember we resized these images so they'd be a lot easier to control. Some of them were rather big and some of them were small and some of them were medium sized. So here's a Mead portrait. I'm going to select that one and say Open. I'm going to bring it in. Now you'll notice it's probably a lot bigger than I need it to be. It also has a lot more white space around it than I'd like. So I can adjust that by simply not holding down anything and just adjust the borders around it so that they're more or less equal all the way around. Got a little bit more white space on one side than I have on the other. Take a look at that. Looks pretty close. Now in order to size things up and down in InDesign, what you need to do is you need to hold down both the Control and Shift key at the same time that you're up on a corner like this. And all things being equal, it should reduce in size. Let's take a look. Yes. So you can kind of bring that up and down to whatever size that you feel that it's comfortable and move it into place. I'm going to bring that down and tuck it off to the right here just a little bit, just beyond the edge of the bottom of that Y. Just kind of using that as a place to set that image. Now you'll notice when I move the image, it will position itself over the logo if I want to, and that's because of the fact that this is in front. Like with Illustrator, I can send it to the back, but at this point what it's going to do is it'll just simply disappear behind the page background. So I'm going to nudge that over with my arrow key here until I kind of get it where I want to. Now, next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to bring in some text down here concerning Sid, like something about a bio or something like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up another layer, and in that layer I'm going to name that one text. You'll notice I'm keeping everything separated here. And I'm going to lock up my images because I don't want to put anything in the image area now. I want to put it in the text layer. So I'm going to open up a text layer here. Open up a box, and you can see that green border forming around it. Each one of your layers has a different color. So when you're on it, like when I was on the image just a moment ago, you'll notice it had a red bounding box. When I was doing the page attributes, it was a blue bounding box, and the text is green. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take my text tool, and I'm going to type some dummy copy in here. Just to see what I've got. That's a little bit small for what I want to do. I think what I want to do is I want to bring that up in size. And I think I determined the other day when I was doing this that 15 point worked pretty well. And I'm just saying that arbitrarily because I had done this before, so I know that this is going to work. 15 point worked a little better than anything else. And I've changed now the copy itself to, I believe, 15 point. Let's check that out again. Maybe it didn't catch. Yeah, it's 15 point. The other thing I want to do is I want to change it to the color that I established before. So I'm going to hit my text tool, come down here, and I'm going to change to my hexadecimal code of FCAA03, change it to that nice gold color and say OK. Now, so I've got this dummy copy set up inside of the window waiting for the actual copy. Off on the side here, I had a document that had some information on Sid that I copied from Wikipedia. And so I can just take and do a edit copy and minimize that and come back in here and grab that copy and do edit. Yeah, I lost it there. Hold on. And do right click. I keep losing it. Well, I can highlight it and simply use my my keyboard keys. I can do Control V, and that places the type. If you'll notice, I've got a line here. There's a break, and I want to add another break in the paragraph. So if I just hit Enter, I get a break in the paragraph. Let's go in and take a look at the copy really close. There are a number of ways to do this, but the simplest way to do it is to just go in and find every place where you've got a line break like this. And if you place your cursor right there before the S in science fiction and hit Enter, it'll push it to the next line down. Now you got another one here, push that one down. I've got one here under figure. I can push that one down. And it looks like I've got them pretty well cleaned up now. If I had more copy than would fit inside this window, now let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to purposely go in and make this type bigger than will fit inside the window. I'll make it go up to 16 point instead of 15. And that might push it outside the bounds of the window. So I go 16 point. You'll notice right away the type has gotten larger, but you've also got this little plus down here. That lets you know that there is more type than will appear inside the type window. Now sometimes, I don't know if this is the case or not, but sometimes you can grab the bottom of this window and pull it down to the point where, and there I did it, I got it to come down until it gave me enough room to make it work. Now let's take a look at, I can bring that whole text box up. I'm nudging it with my arrow key because I've got a couple of line breaks here that I want to eliminate. And in order to do that, I got to go in there just in front of the I in influence and hit Enter, and that brings that down, and go after 3-year enlistment and move that down and I didn't get my little plus box back. It moves things down without upsetting things too drastically. So anyway, that's how you bring type into the type window. For this first page, you probably are pretty much done. You probably lay yours out a lot like this, but you can do other things too. Let me do something really quick before we move on to the next video. I'm going to go back into this images, and you can do things like apply a drop shadow to the image itself. And to do that, you've got to highlight the thing so you've got the bounding box showing up like that. And then what you want to do is you want to go to Object and go to Effects and do Drop Shadow. And you'll notice I already had mine set up for this particular drop shadow, but you can mess with which direction the drop shadow is, its intensity, its opacity, all kinds of things like that. It's probably pretty good to be able to take something like this and establish it at the beginning of laying out your portfolio, and then just make sure all of the images follow suit so that the drop shadow is all coming from the same direction, the opacity is all the same. And then every time you want to put a drop shadow on an image, it's automatically there. So anyway, I'm going to let this one wrap up at this point. I'll come back to this in a minute with this same document, and we'll carry on from there in 8.5. Okay? All for now. See you guys in the next video.